Dogs eat sand to it helps their digestive system. Half of their system is acid. The other bit's the sand they have
When did you last own a dog? When did you last own a dog?
Do you know what I actually had an epiphany.
No. When did you last own a dog? I'm curious.
I hate dogs. I don't like things that like you for no reason.
Welcome to your life. There's no turning back. Even while we sleep, we will find you acting on your best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to rule the world.
I'm sorry that we didn't manage to get one last week, but I was in Sydney.
That's okay. I don't care.
It's very hard to update. It feels like you just stopped going to work and you're like, but there's no way to communicate with your employer. So they just look and think, oh, I guess that's over. I actually did like a pod at the Channel 9 podcast thing. And they were like, your pod actually goes really well considering like it's actually very good. The downloads relative. Richard Wilkinson has one with his son and he goes, oh, that got like fucking nothing. They had to cancel it. They were so ashamed. And he's like, you break every
Who's Richard Wilkinson?
Oh, the big dick guy from Channel 9. Apparently he's got a massive stonker. but so that...
What podcast were you doing from Channel 9 studio?
Oh, he's just like a cardboard cutout man. You know those guys where they have, for some reason, they thought TV needed a pretty person to stand near the car? Do you know how you have that in a photo? They thought, if we have TV, we should have pretty people that are really dumb that stand and do the weather and sit on a seat and they read the lines.
Yeah.
And people go, pretty people that seem intelligent because they're reading other people's words. And then they build a whole... I mean, Ben Affleck was exposed for it. You saw him at the roast and he had to actually talk off script and you're like, he's very unlikable. a crude, horrible man. And you're like, yeah, he didn't. I know he wrote Good Will Hunting, but I'm like, a lot of the actors, like Brad Pitt, you get exposed and you'll be like, it's so weird because I like Brad Pitt when he rode that horse and he's such a Fight Club. And then you're like, did he get abusive on a flight and he's got restraining orders against all his family and kids? That's so weird because I love Brad. He's a thinker. He's a thinking man thinker. But anyway, so they were saying we break all the rules. You're inconsistent. There's no upload schedule. People need like Pavlovian. They're not really listening to this. It's just an hour's escape from their own fucking ruminations. And he's like, you're not giving them what they want, which is satiating. They need to have an ointment. Monday morning, 9 o'clock, mug off ointment applied to the end of your burning penis. Tuesday, Dum Dum Club. Wednesday, I like to listen to Alice Fraser on a guitar. Thursday, we've got the musings of Muggleton and Hamilton. A little banter, log room banter. But, dude, I don't know what to say.
Okay.
Nothing's improved.
Man, you were gone that whole time, a whole week, and all I was looking at were green candlesticks of DXB and your other boys. They're all jumping up, providing with plenty of opportunities.
The frustration was I had SDX, right? And then I was like, well, the takeover's going to come and I'm not going to do a WGO. So I had the lion's share of my money in that drifted from 24.5 to 19.
Yeah.
Putting me into a spiral while DXB has gone to 61.
Just from strength to strength over the
And you
past
do
month.
understand that-
What is it? It's doubled. It's doubled in a month.
Oh, but you do understand that I've been tipping it since 17 cents. So if I had just been done with SDX, divorced it at 50, taken my $210,000 and pumped it into DXB, I would have... Well, I mean, with CFDs, I'd have over $1 million. Yeah. Meso Blast has also gone from 30 cents to $1.08. Everything Hazer is just like the contracts have no money attached, so it's years away. So it's just a fucking pile of shit. It is a great company, but it's just like the exasperation, Bannerman, lithium. I often hear codes and I go, why do I know that code? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I used to hold it at 3 cents. Is it $4 now? Wow, that would have been nice. And the hard part is the delusions because people say, oh, it's bipolar, you're deluded. But then I'm like, am I? Like, if I literally just gone left instead of right now, I would have bought the house for cash. I would have owned a house for cash. Instead, I've got all these other people in hats, all these other parents in their hats with their sling-ons. You know where they have a sling-on where they've got a guy with lip balm now? He needs lip balm and a mobile phone and his keys in a little bag on the front, like total pussy. I'm like, you get a girl to carry that for you, man, like a man. You get a slave.
So
you go, oh, is my lip balm in your purse?
So
and
what,
then
what about them? What about the men with little bags? What are they doing?
Oh, well, I mean, like, that is defeatism. Carrying your own stuff. What you really need is a mule. That's what marriage is about. A woman that carries your shit in a massive purse and then you berate her about the size of your purse and 80% of the contents are your gym fucking protein powders and shit because you're a misogynist fuck.
Yeah, you don't want to become your own beast of burden.
But luckily I'm free from gender. So I hear people listening to me, oh, he's being misogynistic. I'm like, I don't identify with any human being, let alone gender. So fucking sucker, big hairy dick. I'm out. You can't categorize me. I want to be in the middle aisle at Aldi. You're not sure where to put the lawnmower. Do you put him in perishables? Do you put him in meat? No, you put me in the middle aisle. Someone should. Oh, dude. So horrible thing because Diogenes, that philosopher of like living like a rat. So I've really embraced that now because it's all I've got. So I was in those pod hubs, $35 a night.
Oh, yeah. Your accommodation in Sydney.
No, but I've never really digressed to actually going into the beating heart of the oblivion of that degeneracy. And I actually was in the room with 6 other people, 2 Adidas wearing like meth dealers, like Muggleton, but could kill you. English guys. An orphan boy. And then obviously there's always someone with OCD where it's regressed so much that no one will interact and he's got patterns. And I thought, man, you know what I was thinking with OCD? If you go in front of them and match their pattern, do you free them from the curse? Like if you tap the kettle 9 times and then adjust the door, do you decode the riddle? And they go, thank you, man. You freed me. I've been trapped since the age of 5. It's so funny imagining OCD develop because you know how they hop over cracks. There must have been a first hop. There must have been a first tap of the kettle, a first touch of the thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like they're not vigilant enough on their thoughts. That first tap of the light switch and then maybe one more. Oh, that feels good. Oh, one more. Oh, that feels real good. Oh, it feels so good to walk to the train station and then race back to see if you've locked the front door. Oh, that's adrenaline.
I have a who has it, and it does start slowly. It's like
well, what happens is they're chasing dopamine hits because there's the anxiety of have I left the iron on, and then the rush of like I don't even own an iron as you run back because it was taken away from me. Because I have OCD.
Yeah,
I've seen comics with it where they've got photos of their iron turned off. They have to take a photo. So when they're on the train, and I'm like, you understand that you're a little monkey looking to jack off your dick? You basically don't understand the spiral of the thought. You have that fear and panic, and then that satiation of like, the iron's off. Oh, and I'm like, don't play with yourself like that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, if you can free an OCD, but this guy was hating it because OCD doesn't like being witnessed. So if you watch him, he can't do his trades because he knows he's in silky gloves hopping around that hostel touching shit. So he kept having to scurry off into his room. And then eventually I accidentally came out from the toilet while he was showering and he let out a little and shut the door. You know when someone's like leaving the bathroom and then they see you and then they regress back into the stall and it's like a real dominant moment. He actually has to change his pattern. Not even OCD, just he actually wants to leave the bathroom, but he's terrified of me. and had to go and stand in the cubicle to wait to hear if he could hear my door shut. I loved it.
But it's not, they don't get the satisfaction of the, I did turn it off. That's that bit's missing. They just have the initial panic bit, and it's spirals.
Yeah.
Because it goes from that, like, I need to do the light switch to, like, they're driving along and then they pull up at work and they're like, I'm pretty sure I hit someone with my car. I hit someone with my car. Like, I killed a man.
Yeah.
I've done something fucking horrible.
You can actually see how it gets in because it's where superstition crosses over to obsession. Like, a lot of sportsmen get in that. You know, like Steve Waugh, the twins, he had a pink hanky in his back pocket.
Oh, yeah. Like, they have a big game, and the day before the big game, they had fucking Chinese food. So now
Yeah, and then they've got to eat it.
Yeah, every Thursday they have to have Chinese food.
Steve Waugh had a pink hanky in his pocket. He didn't know what that meant in gay code. It meant that his guzzled cum in the anus or whatever it meant. But you know what's funny is I would, as a sports psychologist, if you're in a room and a guy goes, hey, I need my lucky egg, I'd be like, you're out of the team. You are emotionally fragile. You are literally one drop catch away from like a jinx period where you keep fumbling and dropping. I think Mitch Johnston had an element of that where he'd get superstition and then maybe he stood on a crack and then it spiraled. And it's like what I said, the grand final is the only time you should be scouting for people because 90% of the players bottle it. Because they can't fucking perform under the weight of their own expectation. And I'm like, dump them. There's only about 10 people alive that can actually deliver on wedding night and just go for 8 hours grinding and soaring.
Who was the first guy who stepped on the crack and had to marry the rat, the originator? The first guy to step on the crack, marry the rat, break his mother's back.
Oh, yeah. It's funny to see, like, if you could curb it, there's only, I think, 2 ways to curb it. Catch it early and then really go, come on, fuckhead, like a kid's tantrum and going, oh, you need to stop clicking on and off the light switch, or catch them late and just overwhelm them with tasks. So you're their psychiatrist and you're like, have you ever thought about reversing? I think you need to do. I think you need your seatbelt.
Oh, adding more things into the process. Yeah.
Well, what you do is you swamp them. And then basically they've got to put their seatbelt on 40 times. They've got to do this. And eventually they go, I'm just overloaded. I need to delegate. And then they start delegating to me. And I go, yeah, look, I'll do your seatbelt clicking thing. Just rest assured it's being done by a subordinate. I wonder if like a rich guy could actually outsource their OCD. So they've just got 40 Indian servants that are clicking on and off lights. And they just updating them with photos and going, yeah, the kettle has been turned on and off, on and off, on and off. There's a man just checking the oven. And you're like, yeah, I'm free from OCD. I've got 190 employees that are just doing weird, repetitive tasks for me. And if they're caught, they get bonuses. If they do enough hops of cracks, there's a man just basically on your walk, doing your walk back and from work, jumping the cracks for you. And you go, yeah, I'm keeping the universe in order with a team of... I think Howard, whatever his face, the guy that owned the airlines.
What are these names? Who's this one?
Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes degenerated into OCD spiral where he was just in a room watching movies, jerking off into tissues, washing his hands. He had so much money that no one could stop him, so he was actually able to lean into the OCD and just become a series of tasks. He was the richest man in the world.
Yeah, I see him.
The only thing that saves OCD people from a full spiral is their social status. If they were richer, they would indulge further and further. The problem is eventually they have to drive the lorry. So they're like, I just want to keep clicking the switch, but I have to go do my forklift job. And then they're actually saved by life. And life is good like that because I think with all your emotions, that's why you need a job. I've worked it out. I've had this epiphany where I thought I'd just get a house and then do stand-up. And I'm like, no, I actually need a job to fill my mind so that basically distracting the dog with toys so it doesn't keep trying to bite its own tail.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I need a job stops a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which is all mental health. So your dream of, you see it in retirement, they digress, but also your dream, as you get more and more affluent and do less and less, you just start chasing your tail more because you need the dopamine hit. So then you're basically self-loathing, depressed. You know what I mean? You create fake scenarios. And then most of life is just in a fiction, a work of fiction that you've manufactured to keep you invigorated with this boring simulation. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Because most of people's life is spent worrying. And I'm like, don't worry less. You are a loser and it does end bad. Just accept it. Lean into... Oh, dude, but I'll tell you, like, fucking hell, there was an orphan kid in there. There was a kid that has obviously had DV or molestation, and he was right in prime target.
Where were you staying? You were staying in a hostel thing, or?
Oh, like a pod hub, but this guy was
What
prime
do
target.
you mean a pod hub? What are you talking about? A pod hub?
Oh, it's like you know how people have mailboxes, storage boxes?
Yeah, okay.
There's now. Do you know where people have like a PO box? People now live in those.
But so why are you interacting with so many other people? I thought it was just like you get in the pod and then you're in the pod. Like why are you spending? Why are there other people in your pod? You're not sharing a pod, are you? You're not at this level.
No, because the thing is, I've got to go and charge my phone. I've realized 90% of a trip is trying to keep your phone charged.
So there's a communal area of this pod hub that you're spending your time in.
LA, when I was in LA, most of my memories were just sitting near an outlet trying to get to 30% so I could go outside and know that I could come in safely, because I've always had charging issues. And I had a charge cable that was
charging issues. Well, man, is this because you've got your phone's from Gumtree?
Yeah, and I had like I've got that horrible thing where if I'm charging, I can't listen to pods, so I just have to stare at it and death stroll Elon Musk tweets.
But you've got wireless headphones, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but dude, I haven't fully immersed. I'm still like an old man. Like I don't feel comfortable without wire.
I'm just trying to figure out how you've balanced yourself so precariously in a Venn diagram of all of the worst parts of every world. Like you've got wireless headphones, but you're not using them to listen to anything during the day. And then you've bought your phone from Gumtree, so the battery's fucked. So you've got charging issues, but you've got no money. Even like you're not spending any of it. You're buying phones from Gumtree, but you still have no money.
Oh, dude, I live so cheap because I got obsessed about just making things as horrific as possible. And I was getting buses. I was getting buses everywhere and often walking. So it'd be like 2 a.m. and I'm like, what? Going to rush back to the coffin? So I just walked the streets of Sydney alone. And there was something cathartic about abandoned streets, because you realize that about 3 a.m. on a Monday night, everyone abides by time except for basically me. Mm-hmm. I was the only guy. It was like coming to your favorite cafe. There's no one in there, and you could just cruise around.
Yeah. It is nice, man. It's nice in the middle of the night on a weekday when you're outside. And
well, my best memories, a lot of them were when I was a party boy and I was like in London, and you'd be walking home on a weird weeknight, and you were like, oh my God, there's no one near Big Ben. Like it's totally abandoned, the whole city. And I'm like, I realized post-apocalyptic world is actually very cleansing and soothing to calming, because there's no one to impress.
Yeah, you feel very omnipotent in the wee hours of the morning when there's no one else. You feel like you own the entire city.
It feels like you're the emperor, and people have been told the emperor likes to walk and no one's to cast their eyes near him. So all the doors you could hear shutting and lights turning off as you walked, and they're scurried away. And then you realize without people, you actually do love yourself. Like you don't feel as judged.
Yeah.
I'm actually awesome.
If you could just get rid of that pesky other, you'd be fine.
Well, the other is what causes you to compare the meerkat. But when you're not comparing against anything, you're like, this is actually pretty cool. I'm just looking around. I'm a sentient being. I can look at honky nuts. I can look at sticks. I'm wandering around. I'm like this. It's almost like a kid putting on a VR headset for the first time, wandering around, going like, wow, life is pretty real. Life is real. But dude, this orphan boy was in the prime. He had probably been molested out of his old house, and the poor boy was like older than he should have been. Like, I looked at him.
What do you mean? What do you mean older than he should have been?
Well, I think he might have been 18, but he hadn't been hit puberty yet. So it was a prime paedophile ring target because he could legally be groomed. Do you know what I mean? And you would actually have committed no crimes.
I don't think that's grooming, but yeah, go on.
I was wondering about that for a pedo. If you were like a Frankenstein and you just feed them estrogen so they never hit puberty and then you just wait for the legal age.
Yeah, see, that is grooming. That's perfect. That's a very, it's a medical twist on grooming.
You've broken no laws because you're like,
no, that's grooming. I think grooming is illegal, isn't it?
But you've got this 8-year-old and you've just fed him a bottle. He's still on bottles and nappies, and he's fed estrogen so he never hits puberty. And then he's actually 32. And you're arrested at a mall, at a McDonald's, with an underage boy, and they actually check it and they go, he's 47. And you're like, ha 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 ha. All hormones have been extracted. My perfect plan. My gay lover. Something like that. Guys do that. I've seen them where they get the young-looking girl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where you're like, are you not ashamed? Like, do you know what I mean? And they go, she's got a growth defect. And I'm like, you're a fucking freak, man. She goes, she has a pituitary gland issue. And I'm like, well, it didn't have to be your wife, okay? You could have maybe given her a hamper and donated through online platform. You didn't actually have to ingratiate her and marry her in Thailand, okay? You fucking creep.
But then how do you feel for those guys or gals with the pituitary gland issue? Like the one who looks young, who's going through their life like on dating apps, just every time they meet someone, it's some creepy dude with a moustache and glasses. Like,
I feel bad for them.
I don't have a type. I just can't get dates unless they have the moustache and the glasses.
I know what you're thinking. I look exactly like Harry Potter. Hit me up, girls. And it's just like, what the fuck? He looks like early Harry Potter. And you're like, you go, dude, I love you and I know we got a connection, but it's hard not to judge you because I do know I look 13 and I don't know why you've married me. It's a very creepy fetish. And I know by the law, I've gone to the police and they said, because of my pituitary gland, this is within the bounds. Play on.
Yeah, you don't want to become the fetishized object of some other person. And because then you're just like, you're going through your life, you're starting to like you're starting to understand them. You feel bad for them. Yeah.
But it's sort of like those. It's like the feeders where they basically grab a fat guy or girl and then try and make the problem worse, and they feel a sense of control and power by bringing home, hey, check the boot, 48 donuts. They're on special, and then they passed out, and you're still forcing extra donuts in because you've got a sick fetish where you're slowly killing them, and you're jacking off when you see their blood sugar levels. Oh, she's almost dead. Cholesterol's through the roof. I'm so horny. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick shit, dude.
It is.
We shouldn't be talking about this because we're trying to go mainstream. I'm working with Channel 9
Yeah, we're trying to get
now.
to Channel 9's podcast studios.
Oh, dude, Channel 9
But we're more likely to end up in the pod hub, man. That's where we belong. Not the podcast studio, just the hostel pod hub.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I think it's all TV, all media is the feeling of arriving in LA where they filmed it very well, but it's actually a suburban sprawl. And it was the same when I went on The Price is Right, and I realized that the roller doors were two employees that rolled them. Come on down. They weren't even electric. They had two people that rolled out on wheels, so it looked like, wow, this is like a spaceship. And I'm like, no, this is a horrible warehouse with a really grubby Grant Tenure that looks like a midget, but it's easy to frame small people, screeching, sounding like a little weird fucking bridge troll. And I'm like, whoa, TV peeled away is a sad life. And that's what I've come to realize is it's the same thing with Gillis. No one can admit how shit life is at the top. Life's actually worse at the top.
because you got
basically
nothing to struggle
can't
for.
complain to anyone.
You can't struggle towards you've got no destination. It's just journey.
Dude, you can't complain. I heard Gillis on a pod, and he was talking about how his water bill was through the roof because they had this weird electric fountain that they've been playing with. And I'm like, this is what happens. You're talking about how the jacuzzi's massage settings are playing up. And I'm like, this is exactly what we've been talking about. No one knows how expensive it is to get the Lamborghini detailed, and nor should they. And you can't apologize. You can't apologize when you're still self-harming straight after performing to 35,000 people at Madison Square Garden, and you're actually upset about the photo. And you're like, oh, I told them, that's my bad side. And you're trying to ring friends, a guy who's just recently divorced, someone like me, and you're telling them, hey, man, did you see the billboard? Yeah, I know. I'm fucking devastated. Yeah, they've got the wrong side. And I'm like, I know how much this upsets you, Shane. I know. It's a hurtful, sad thing. Anyway, I'm off to neck myself down at the Centrelink office.
Man, that is a good way to describe you, as someone who is a man who's permanently recently divorced. It's a guy who's been recently divorced for 10 years.
Well, you know what happens? No one updated. There were side quests, but no one engaged with them. Like, I've had a lot of other drama that's unhappened. But do you know what I actually thought just right then? This is how you fix OCD, right?
Yeah.
You copy their pattern. This is how you fix the ruminator. You record the ruminator, and then when he rings up to talk about, I should have locked in the 600 grand, your dad plays back the last call that's exactly the same back to you. So you've got to ring and you go, Dad, I just keep thinking, why didn't I lock it in? And then suddenly on the other end you hear, Dad, I just thinking, and you're like, what the fuck? That's from a week ago. And then you go, yeah, exactly. You ruminate to your own rumination, and eventually you hang up on yourself and you go and get a job. Do you not think? You record yourself and then listen back to yourself and try talk as if it's a phone call and you're fighting for airwaves, saying the same ruminations. And you're like, shut up, I want to talk about the 600. And I'm like, shut up, I want to talk about the 600. And it's like this weird where you become self-aware, and then the whole delusion collapses on itself. And that's how you fix OCD. When you see another guy touching the kettle and you go, that guy's a fucking moron. The kettle's off.
But you're asking for both people, the OCD one and the ruminator, to have enough self-awareness to recognize the pattern, which they're not going to do. They're never going to have that.
That's what I'm saying. There's actually a profound thought in it, because by showing them the pattern, A, B, A, B, 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 A, B, B, they might actually see it from a third party and go, A, B, B, A, B, B, A, C, A, B, B, and see the tapping of the skipping of hopping of the cracks.
They won't see it. They'll never see it. The OCD person, you show them the other OCD person, or you like flick the light switch on and off as well. They're in their own head. They're so in their own head, it's not important to them what you're doing.
Well, this is what an OCD needs, is to be presented with a new landscape and then realize how absurd it is. So like, you've gone from cityscape and now you're in a jungle with coconuts, and then you realize, oh, I need like 300 obsessions, and you've got to try and amass them really quickly. You're like, I hop with the coconut. And you're like, oh, it's not like when I hit the lights. It's not like the light switch, but I shake this palm tree repeatedly. And you're like, oh, dude, are you building OCD? You're building it. You're manufacturing. Look at you. You're 40. You're fucking manufacturing OCD in the jungle.
Where you're definitely right, and I think the way that you could defeat both, is by putting them in some kind of grave danger. So the jungle works for the OCD person, but not because they need to amass more obsessions, but because suddenly they're worried about tigers and food. So it never happens. It never eventuates.
Do you think someone's killed someone and they've not been convicted because they go, yeah, the car malfunctioned, but they're actually just adjusting their seatbelt clip over and over again and just plowed through 40 kids at a crosswalk because you're obsessed, and then they go like, oh, look, we can't convict you, and deep down you know that you kept hitting that red button and that's why you were distracted, and you actually go like, hey, you're getting off it. And you're like, really? There were so many limbs everywhere, up in the trees, up in the bush, up under the car. And you're like, yeah, dude, it was just an accident. And you actually know that you click your seatbelt on and off to hear that beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. There are people killing people right now with OCD that are not in jail. And if you're listening right now, I see you and I'll find you. I'm like a blood spatter expert. And my dream is to convict someone years after they got away with it by finding the smoking gun.
Man, I've sent text messages while driving faster than I've been able to find where that rear windscreen defrost function is in the car, because you only need it, 3 times a year. So you never.
Oh, yeah.
You spend more time fiddling around. Going, is it this button? And you press something, and then
Dude,
the fucking.
My favorite with texting and driving is actually texting at 120 an apology for the grammar of the earlier one because you're driving. The irony.
Yeah. I've done that too, man. You go back and you type in the correct spelling with a little asterisk.
Yeah, and you're like, so to hit a bridge or kill someone while you're texting saying, sorry, man, I'm actually driving right now, and it's very hard. There was a big truck, so I fucked up some of that word. Sorry, anyway, yeah, I love the joke. I think definitely it's a great idea for a new open mic room. And you're like, what a fucking psychopath. I would, you know what's the worst is they can match it. So you can't get out of it.
What do you mean?
And they can actually see the text.
They can match.
Do you know what I mean? So you go like, no, I wasn't texting. And you go, that's weird because there's 6 cat smiley emojis exactly when you hit that kid on a bike. And they're like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. I was just liking a meme about cats. Oh, shit.
It's me, Josh, definitely not an AI model of his voice. Get yourself more Sure Thing at our Patreon. Weekly exclusive episodes piling onto our back catalogue of 50-ish that are already sitting there waiting for your little ears and credit card details. Patreon.com/SureThing.
When I had to charge the phone, I went outside without my phone. It's fucking scary.
How come the way you said that to charge a phone had the same cadence as to catch a predator?
I went outside without my phone and it's a lot.
Yeah, in what way?
There's actually too much data. There's too much stimuli. You're like, this simulation is way too 3D and realistic. I'm like, I cannot compute, can't process. I'm like, oh my God, there's wind, there's temperature differentials, there was movement everywhere. I'm like, this is not, I need this controlled in a Samsung screen. I'm like, Jesus Christ, human beings can't be around this much stimuli.
This is the proof that the OCD person confronted with another OCD person doesn't affect them. It doesn't do anything because you say that, and then in the next sentence, you're walking around like, anyway, I'm outside, my phone's not charged, and I can't handle it. I don't know what's going on.
Dude, I'm a warlock. I'm saying if an OCD tries to cure you, I'm saying if a healer that can match your patterns can unlock, it's like playing a game and you solve the Sudoku.
But it's not about the other person at all. You can put whatever you like in there, but the other person, they're not going to register the other person enough to see it.
Dude, we were talking about baby reindeer. We were talking about baby reindeer and how it's actually the dream partner, and that guy was an asshole. Like, that's everything I'm looking for in a woman. She's coming to your gig. She's showing interest. You get home from work. She's waiting at the bus stop because she literally can't function if you're not around. Obviously, the sex is horrific, but you can lie on her stomach and she can stroke your hair. And I'm like, I was telling Rathi I would have put a baby in her immediately. Yes. If I met a woman like that she's the only one laughing at your gigs. I'm like, soulmate, super fan. I'm like, don't count your chickens before they've hatched, dude. Fertilize your eggs. Fertilize those chickens. This woman, it's like a Cinderella story where like Prince Charming is like, what the fuck's Cinderella doing here? She fucking, what? She's dressed up as someone different trying to trick me. Fucking reindeer baby too. Fucking restraining order. Like Cinderella, her obsession with Prince Charming was reindeer baby. Same shit.
She was dressed up and at the ball. Yep.
Trying to trick him, rocked up the ball with the intention of seeing him. Just go to the ball for fun, Cinderella, you fucking psycho. See what happens on the night. Don't fucking target some man that's going to fix your life, that's has money or has something you want. You should just bump randomly in and jerk off the taxi driver or whoever happens to be convenient. You can't have an agenda. All that woman had was an agenda, and she found a guy that was nice and put some time into him.
Sometimes that's all you need, man. That's all you need is agenda, and you can make things happen. It's like The Secret. It's visualization.
Oh, dude. And it was like that Sting song. Do you know, like, everywhere you go, I'll be watching or whatever, I'll be there, or whatever it's
The police, yeah. Every breath you take.
Obviously, everyone cries to that and it's a romance, but it's actually, it's pretty much stalking.
It isn't stalking. It's literally stalking.
Reindeer Baby, you go to an open mic and you laugh at a hack like that, you're in love and you found your soulmate. I would have backed. You know what? He fucked around. He pussyfooted around. Straight after I got her tea and I realized that she was following me, I would have copulated into her near the train tracks immediately. And then we would have just been in love and married. And I go, look, she's a bit full on. I don't know why she texts us 800 times, but I should not have had sex with her within the first 3 minutes out the front of that inn where I was serving drinks.
Well, I do like the idea of breaking the dynamic, right? Because the baby reindeer lady needs you to play out the other half of the fantasy.
Yeah, yeah.
If you are like, oh, this woman, what a dreamboat, let me in. Oh my God, like she's the perfect one for me.
Yeah.
Then you're not the guy for her. So so it doesn't work. So she has to go target someone else.
I see it a lot with slip and trips. You know, like the type of person that people should warn you about. But you'll meet, like you're with a girl. This is in the past because I'm now genderless and sexless. But
slip and trip. What's a slip and trip?
So you'd meet a girl and then you'd meet her friends and you could sense a bit of distress, as if like they should warn you that there's a
like the friends who are kind of like smiling a bit too hard, and they're like, so what do you do? And then where do you do that? And like they're probing for you to give them some kind of reason that it's okay that you're the target.
To give you the warning. So you've met Reindeer Baby and then you're meeting all her friends and you're like, oh my God, love at first time. She just can't stop emailing me. Hundreds. Look at all these emails. I'm taking a shit. I brushed my ass hair. I'm now sitting near the train station. Where are you, cunt? And you're like, shit, we just can't be apart. And friends are like, oh my God, this is what she did to Wayne. Wayne, who had to neck himself eventually to get some freedom. And you're like, but they don't tell you. And they go, oh yeah, she does love hard. She's a very intense feeler. She does love strong and fast. And you're like, yeah, dude, unbelievable. We had sex immediately out the front because she was waiting for me when I finished my shift. And then they're like, yeah, she's always been like that. It's just so good she's found someone nice. And they all know that she's got 14 restraining orders out on her and no one fucking warns you because you can't. You can't warn people when you see them and you've followed them on Facebook for years and you've seen the relationship and then the meme period where they're like, my soul will go on despite what's been had and the police know nothing. And then they're back again and there's a new character. And that's fun watching that cycle. Do you know when you watch like Fresh Meat, and you see a new guy willingly connecting and saying Facebook relationship status, no longer single, and you're like, oh, another poor bastard about to go through a fucking washing machine.
So why slip and trip? What was the slip and trip?
Well, it's a slip and trip on the basis that you can see a puddle that you could slip on and injure yourself.
Okay.
But you don't warn them.
No one's putting up the caution wet floor sign.
It's like you're at a group event, everyone's dancing. You know this personality is basically water on the ground. You see a drunk guy wander in and you don't warn him of the slip and trip, and then you watch him an hour later leaving with the paramedics with a head brace, and you should have said, hey, Jenny's insane. I'm friends with her, but it's because I'm scared of her, okay? She has blackmailed me because I sucked a black guy's dick on the hen's night, okay? I don't like her. You need to get away. I have sucked a black dick, and that's my penance to pay, but I love my family and my kids, and I am not going to have her reveal that. So, yeah, occasionally I do quiz nights with this fucking sociopath, okay? Okay? It's not a big deal. She's going to blow it apart. Do you know every friend group, you have something on them? Because I saw a comedian that's on a billboard now.
Okay, one of these Channel 9 comedians.
And I realized I have a smoking gun on them, an early open mic video that could destroy them. And I walked around and I felt my penis tingle and I go, king of the castle, top of the heap. But I'll never use it. But just knowing, like, I could obliterate, evaporate.
Just to have the power.
But I won't, because I'm a kind guy. And you know what? It's like sabotaging someone that won on a scratch and win. They've won lotto, and then you try to get their tax fraud exposed. I'm like, the chances of making it in stand-up are so slim that to then have someone won the Powerball and then come and end up having them arrested because of their OCD and they've clipped someone in a car is the lowest dog country that I could conceive of. So I'm like, let Brewster's Millions run around in this fucking false paradise.
Yeah, this is a problem with age, is that your weird little patterns have solidified, you know?
Yeah.
If you're single, the older you get and you're looking for something new person, new relationship, both of your patterns are more solidified than if you were younger.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying to girls, and they're like, "You fucking serious in the green room?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going on any more roller coasters. I know what I am." And I said, "I don't like the way I behave around people once they tire me." And then they're like, "You fucking mental." I'm
just drink the water. Just drink the water and then keep talking afterwards. Don't talk through the water.
I was like, I don't want to get into that pattern. I don't want to be on the tail end of the stalking reindeer baby story arc. I know what comes of me. And I'm like, guess what? I'm breaking the fucking pattern.
Wait, what pattern?
I'm not going to be lying in bed back to back with someone in a hostage situation. Do you know, like where we're both lying back to back ever again. I'm like, I need a fucking reprieve from this fucking monotony. And I'm like, that is the thing, because people go in and I see them, they're so dumb that they don't even check their Facebook story arc. And they go, "Wolfie, I've met someone. Oh, yeah, I'm blown away." And I'm like, "Oh, she looks exactly like the last three." But I won't say anything. And he's like, yeah, dude, she's different. She's different. Yep. Personal trainer. Oh, dude, she's so healthy. I'm loving it. I'm like, "Oh, you're vegan now?" Yeah.
What pattern are you referring to for yourself?
And I'm like, you've embraced a lot of ideologies and just rejected yours seamlessly and immediately. Oh, that's going to be good. So you haven't really presented yourself. You're camelling your way into getting your dick sucked. That's going to go well. So you haven't represented. Yeah, 80% of your personality is currently hidden. Oh, yeah, it's going to end well, mate. You're in love. You're in love. I'm a vegan now that salutes the sun with my anus at 5 a.m. every morning. I'm like, aren't you a fucking panel beater from Marrickville? What are you doing? And he goes, "Yeah, I like the footy and I like bashing people on nights out. But I've met a vegan and I'm really loving these seaweed kale smoothies, Wolf." I'm like, "You're loving the boobies, boobs, because you know why? You're a base operator. You're hitting the jackpot of your base needs. You're basically playing the pokies on because what most people do, their emotions are just pokies, and they play the River Nile, and they never try to unplug the entire fucking thing and throw it out a window and just lie on the ground like I did in a pod hub and go, you know what? No more pokey, no more River Nile.
What pattern are you referring to, of your own? Are you referring to?
Well, dude, I've broken all my patterns because I'm living on a Changi prison meal, which is just like meat with a small serve of rice a day. That's all I get.
But when you're talking about the relationship where you said you didn't want to end up, you know what? What did you say? You said you know what happens at the end or how you act at the end. What are you referring to?
You know how it is because people eventually bore you.
Yeah. And what have you identified of your own behaviors that you were talking about? I'm just curious.
Well, basically, I think actually what happens is I bore myself because it's all a ruse.
Yeah.
And then I run out of, and I feel this need to keep you up the convo and always be entertaining. And then there's a moment where I'm acting out with maybe like my penis between my legs and doing some dance in the morning where they go, oh my, I can see their face drop and they go, it's like Jim Carrey in Ace Ventura. I just see them go, oh, shut the fuck up. Can I just get my fucking smoothie? And you're like, hey, poo, poo. And then they finally see through it and they go, oh, he's fake. He's putting on a fake thing just to distract you from all the pain. And then they're just like, oh, you're... And then you're socially engaging and joking and they interrupt you and they're like, oh, and you put on a voice, somebody stop me. And they're like, oh, shut up. Fuck.
In that respect, you're kind of like Cinderella, aren't you? You've prettied yourself up to go to the ball and then there's some woman coming around checking all the foot sizes and then she finds you and she realizes that you were mostly a pretty dress.
Dude, and it was sort of like this where I was socially with my ex at the end. I literally had bruises on my legs from her punching me to shut the fuck up in almost every situation.
What the fuck?
Let Jenny talk about her health shake.
You mean from like being in public and then her hitting you under the table?
Well, it's sort of like she had Ace Ventura playing in the background and she kept trying to pause it, going like, shut up. Somebody stop me. I'm off to the toilet. I'm going to make pooty. I'm going to make party. Oh. And they're like, dude, is he walking like a seal? Oh, for drinkies. Naughty. And they're like, shut up. I want to hear what she puts in her smoothie. Does she put green beans in? I want to add more fruit to my smoothie, more power to my power shake, my accumulating ingredients in my. I heard Larry David talking about it. The morning smoothie is just how much you can fit in. And then you just copy notes of other people of your smoothie and you've got like Vitabricks, Health Bricks, gooseberries, mooseberries, fucking silicon, cellulite, whatever the fuck, you know, and you just stir it up. Everyone you meet, you add another one. It becomes like this heaving cement truck of like, yeah, what is in there? And you're like, chalk, eye of the hair, dog's ejaculate, gooseberries, and a healthy lick of water to keep it so they can actually be mixed.
Yeah, you have to make sure you run the water while you mix it, or it will break the blades. You have to be adding water constantly between you turning the mixer on and then you getting it down your throat. You have to be adding the water, or it will harden and become cement.
You need basically, look, cooking oil's not strong enough to actually get that down. You sort of need diesel, but. Do you know what I was thinking? I was like, why don't we create a cult? And you could have, because I was thinking like dogs are happier. And I was like, I want to try convince people that it's a dog's life is potentially a good idea for the whole philosophy. It's a dog's life. And just having, even just like them eating sand. Do you know like dogs eat sand? I just want lots of dog traits and going, well, who's happier? And it's the classic story, right? If you put a dog in a boot for a week and then open it up, or if you put your ex-wife in a boot for a week and open it up, what are the two different reactions? And I'm like, there you go. That's why you need to get on with the Dog's Life that we're selling to you.
Dog's Life.
How about this to lose weight? You just eat sand. You just fucking mix up mud and just fill the pipes with sand. Can you imagine that? You're hungry, so
what are you
Instead of having a health shake, just actually have in the morning sand that just fills all your system. No one's thought of that. A muddy mix, and they go, what's in...
What are you talking about? It doesn't make sense.
So people go, what did you have for breakfast? And I go, well, it's actually, if you're technical, it's mud. And I just put mud into my colon. I've lost so much weight. I go, I have 1.5 liters of mud a day, and it just fills everything and blocks it all. And then I'm like, I'm shitting like little bricks, but I'm like, I can't get food because my whole system is sand. I put mud and sand through my whole pipes. I've lost so much weight. Is that clever?
No.
Is that clever?
It's not clever.
The mud diet. Did you see that healthy doctor died just going for a walk?
Which doctor? Yeah, man, which doctor?
Mike Mosley or something. And he's very young, and he just went for a normal walk and carked it. Turns out maybe eating, this is his crazy book diet of 5 days you eat sand, wasn't smart. Mike Mosley, or the, say, celebrity chef doctor, dead.
Some guy who died of natural causes on the Greek island of Sami. He was 67, man.
He had a book, and it was like 5-2 diet, and I want the postscript, just a photo of him at the lying, and go like, yeah, actually, maybe have a water, maybe have something else. He's died very young, natural causes, a crazy diet maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I love? It's like seeing the quotes on it, and they're like, he's going to be missed, a great man. And then someone else going, what about all the men that have died that are just working class? I'm like, yeah, well, great point. Well made, but I don't know how this is relevant to his eulogy, okay? I don't know why you're on his rest in peace page where people are paying homage to a great man that you need to insert, well, my mate died and no one fucking mentioned him, so fuck up. My mate died of liver dysfunction. He's an alcoholic. And you know what? Only 3 people came to his funeral.
I like getting angry about that. I like the idea of passing away and then you becoming ammunition for some guy's angry online comments. That's how I would like to be remembered.
Yeah, where they lash out. Dude, I saw a rugby player, a football player, and it was like, this guy's struggle with depression. And someone wrote underneath, well, what about all the normal people? No one gives a fuck about normal people with depression. I work at a paddle beaters and no one even fucking, where's my fucking article? Yeah, I'm like, fucking, what the fuck?
Could there be a more obvious scream for help than some guy who puts up drywall online? Like, other people have depression, you know. It's like, man, you need to go see a doctor, dude. You have to.
Plenty of guys with depression, they don't all get a parade. Fuck you, Barry White, or whatever his name is. But you know what's funny? It's the same as like International Women's Day or Trans Day, and they're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, dude. Everyone waits in turn. Everyone has a chance, right? I'm sorry. Yes, it's a very good point that Christmas isn't your birthday. That sucks. Why isn't Christmas my birthday? That's the argument. It's Women's TV Day, and they're like, why isn't it Footy Day? We never have a Footy Day. Why is Christmas not Easter? Why has Christmas not got chocolate eggs? Fucking dickheads. You fucking dickheads. I have a dysfunctional marriage and I'm an alcoholic. Where's my parade? I'm like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. It was the same talking to people getting angry. They're getting angry with Ari Shafir doing his LGBTQI. And Ari was like, I think he was saying, oh, is it too edgy for you? And I'm like, nah, I think what you'll find is it's too hacky for everyone. He's like, oh, edgy. Are you guys a bit turned off? And I'm like, turned off by boredom. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
A dog cannot run up with the same chew toy over and over again and keep getting doggy biscuits and a pat. I'm like, yeah, dude. We get it.
I mean, it can. A doggy can. And that's why your idea for the doggy lifestyle was so good. It removes all need for originality and it lets you embrace the very simple reward feedback system of a dog, where you just do the same thing over and over again and you get a little treat for it.
It's unbelievable. It's a dog's life.
That's right. It's just like Annie.
Imagine your life. It's everything I described. You meet a girl, she just throws a tennis ball to you. You get a belly rub. You sniff your own ass, then you chase your tail for a while. That's your mental health disorder. Chase tail. Then you're distracted by a bird, run off. Then you eat sand, so you're losing weight because that helps you process, like dogs do. You eat a bit of sand. Then
dogs don't eat a bit of sand.
Dogs eat sand to help process their digestive system. It's a science.
They're not doing it. It's not like chickens. Dogs don't need a certain amount of sand to make eggs. It's not happening.
Dude, dogs eat sand to it helps their digestive system. Half of their system is acid. The other bit's the sand they have to eat.
When did you last own a dog? When did you last own a dog?
Do you know what
when did you last own a dog? I'm curious.
I hate dogs. I don't like things that like you for no reason. I like them. They're upbeat, but I'm like, as soon as I'm at the park, something about my narcissism, like I'll see him at a park acting as friendly with a strange guy in gloves with OCD. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you're kind of jealous of the dog. For me. You're jealous of the dog. You're like, well, I should be. No, why are these dogs taking attention away from me? I should be up there, friendly, sniffing new people, making friends.
This is the way you describe it. You cannot feed every pigeon in the park and make any of them feel special. You have to pick one. You know what I mean? If you're feeding everyone, it's the same with baby reindeer. If she was acting like that with everyone, it would be meaningless. But because she's chosen to feed just one pigeon repeatedly and obsessively, that's what I want. If I see the dogs spraying love around like seed to birds, I'm like, fuck off, fucking cheap whore. Hand it out willy-nilly. It's meant to be special to me. Don't you think? So it degrades the love because it's not special. Because you're like, they love a post, they love a stick, they love a bird, and they love me. And I'm like, well, guess what? If you have no barrier to entry for your love, I regard it as worthless. You need to actually be mean to everyone except me. So it's special. Do you know what I mean? Poison to the other pigeons and then bread to me. Do you not need that?
From a dog? No, not from a dog.
Dude, I was thinking about this though, like.
But I think you have difficulty. I think you have difficulty separating separating things by ego. Like the bounds of your ego are sort of loose and open. So you're able to identify with the dog in that way. Would you not be angry if you met a girl and she's really flirting and you had a connection and then you took her out and she had the same flirting and connection with your entire friend group? That's called histrionic personality disorder. But what I'm saying is that when that extends to dogs, you've got issues with the boundaries of your own identity and ego. You're like, it's so flimsy. It's so flimsy that you see a dog and you're like, no, fuck this. I saw him before. He was sniffing that other guy. I hate it.
It's that possessiveness, because I was thinking about it, and you know how people get angry if you meet a girl, then you break up with her, and then one of your friends gets with her?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that sucks, right? Because you betrayed the friendship. But then in the other way, they've got a better connection than you, and you're always aware of it. So you're being massively selfish and immature. But then I thought, like, there is an argument that this ugly guy, this ugly fisherman, knew he couldn't catch fish, so he went for a great journey.
That's right. He waited until you got it on the boat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, but I'm saying this ugly... If you're a bad fisherman, you've got to walk a long way. You can't go in the normal fishing hole. So you've gone up into the mountains and you've somehow landed a unicorn against all God. But then the problem is, so you get this beautiful fish in this weird hidden fishing hole, and it's taken you years because you're a shit fisherman and you're stabbing things with sticks. Then you finally get the barracuda, but you bring it back. But the barracuda, as soon as it sees better fishermen, wants to get the fuck away from you because it wasn't aware. So then you're like, Do you know what I mean? It does make sense that you'd be angry because you're like, dude, I didn't even fish in the main lake. I took years to go and find a lake where someone would fucking come onto my boat. And then as soon as I drove it back, you just jump onto the better boat? Of course. This guy didn't look for you. I had the story arc. The hero's arc where I had to go through all these swamps.
From the other perspective as well, like if you imagine the other guy being the main character instead of you being the main character, the other guy has waited until you've pulled up a big fish. The guy who caught the fish shows it around and then he throws it back in the water. And just as it goes back in the water, you dive in after it and you grab the fish and you haul it up for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, man, the fish is tired, dude. You didn't catch the fish. Someone else caught the fish and wore it out. You just hung around.
We had a different story because a guy like me would never throw the fish back. The fish has escaped my hands and jumped back into the water.
Okay, all right. All right, then, so maybe you don't throw the fish back. Maybe you've got the fish and you're showing it around, and then the fish wriggles.
And it jumps out of the boat.
It wriggles out of your hands and it lands on the floor of the boat, and then some other guy swoops in, picks it up, and is like, look at the fish I caught. So you didn't catch that fish, motherfucker. I was just holding it. Just then. We all saw me holding the fish.
Well, but the thing is, I suppose what the premise is that people think that the journey and the effort justifies, well, you should love me because I had to work so hard to get it, which is the baby reindeer story. She worked so hard to get that boy fishing. Do you know what I mean? So she does deserve the love, and that's what I suppose I'm saying. If a lady sits in the cold on the bus stop for me, I'm like, you know what? You might be the ugliest fisherman I've ever seen, but fuck you, try. And I would say fundamentally, in the long term, someone that's willing to go on the hero's journey to find a fish hole way away from everywhere else and pull you out of obscurity deserves your love. And you stay with that boy, and you don't go with the fishing, the angling champion of the world. You stay with your Shrek.
Yeah, there's a problem is like looking for a sense of fairness and a justified reality where things all make sense, but they don't make sense, and it's not fair.
Well, because everyone's had that. Everyone's had that with relationships, right? Because I believe that when couples meet, there are people that see upgrades and then just do the right thing.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, if you take 6 couples out, almost definitely one of the guys and one of the girls actually have a better connection, but then ignore it just to honor the family unit and society's rules. They actually sit and go like, oh, fuck, I wish I'd met this fish earlier. Do you know what I mean? And then they go like, but we've got that house, we got the holiday house, Wayne's got depression, and you're like, oh, I guess we'll just have to do a lot of group holidays. I think mainly couples holidays are 2 people that are in love that now just hang out a lot because they're not allowed to fuck, but they're like, we need to go away always with the Jones, okay? Because Sheila is basically my soulmate, right? So I can just, when you guys fuck off, we can chat about how Wayne's a fucking fat pig of a prick and you're fucking Cindy's a slut. And do you know what I mean? But we never actually cross the line. So I think couple holidays are actually, if you look at a group of 6 hanging out, it's 2 people that want to bone each other but don't want to break the rules, the fishing code.
Yeah. But I also think that like a lot of a relationship is just the work that you've put in, right? So there's no, they're not truly the soulmate or truly better matched because the real test is everything else, like the time and the commitment and all that other stuff.
Oh, you're right. You're right, because that's sort of like an old couple, and you're like, how do you get in love like that? Well, you've seen him dressed as a woman in the back bedroom with a shotgun in his mouth, and then forgiven him for it. And do you know what I mean? She sucked a truckie's dick and you forgot about it. Yeah. And I'm like, the fact that they've been there for you for your lowest, when you were basically going, hey, Jenny, I've lost everything. And she goes, don't worry about it. We'll both get Deliveroo jobs. We'll work through this, Jeff. And then like at 70, when you're hanging out and you remember where you go, yeah, dude, I gambled away your money's inheritance, your family inheritance. Sorry. And then she says, oh, okay, look, it's going to take me a little time. I'll forgive you. Once you've realized that they actually accepted you as a monster, your B-side of your album, then no one can penetrate.
Yeah.
Obviously no one's penetrating full stop because you don't have sex with people like this, but you are companions. And you are like a team that cannot be penetrated. If you go to two old people, you cannot sweep a 70-year-old off their feet with charm.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I literally had a period where I was sucking dicks and like he forgave me. Okay? And I got help and he got off his heroin and I'm like, I called him, with a shotgun in his mouth and I forgave him. Do you know what I mean? And you do a lot of bro codes, blood packs through trauma. You have about 30 incidents that you're not aware of that should have destroyed and exploded and you kept it secret and stayed together. And then you become like blood brothers. Every old couple is a blood brother.
This is like the idea of can any relationship, can any friendship be genuine if you haven't gone through some horrific traumatic thing, like a war. Like that's where you find true friendship is in a trench.
You're dead right.
When you're holding one of your buddies' severed torsos in your arms and he's like staring up at you and the life is leaving his eyes.
Yeah, I agree. And even not as dramatic as that, just going through the minutiae of life, the monotony, because you had another partner they just double your admin. They're like, I've got a speeding fine. And you're like, well, I don't have one. Fuck. Now I've got to worry. What the fuck? What do you mean your car's broken down? Fuck. There's more. And that's why you always get on well with holiday couples because there's a buffet, there's a pool, you're having cocktails. Of course you're going to get on everyone. But if there was a cyclone or a tornado and one woman died, you would quickly realize, I do not like Jeff. I saw him around the rations. He's a cunt of a man. But because it's all, and that's what I suppose the fallacy of the relationship is. Because early on, you're going bowling. You don't have money. You spend extra money on a good dinner. You're acting, you're writing poems. But this is all a fucking facade. You either have to go through trauma or minutia to really find out what this person's like. And then people are like, oh my God, why aren't you into people anymore? And you're like, well, because I don't like discovering the truth. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather just fucking say we were soulmates and go, and I should have banged her and just go home.
That's why if you're hanging out doing the group date, the group holiday, and there's the other person where it's like, no, I should have been with that person. Well, as soon as you think that, then it's not true. It's incorrect just by the virtue of you thinking it.
Yeah, it's grass is greener, dude. It's like my new bit of saying killing yourself. Don't kill yourself when it's going bad. Kill yourself when it's going well. So you meet your soulmate, take your life immediately before your personality destroys it or you realize it's not true. And that is sort of it. If you meet a soulmate and she goes, hey, can I get your number? And you're going, shh, don't ruin this. And just walk off. This was perfect. This is all latent potential. This is like a little ging. Do you know a slingshot pulled back and you never release the ball? And then you can just jack off into eternity at the memory of that. Bah, she was perfect, Cheryl. You don't realize that she's a control freak that makes you, do you know what I mean? Makes you fold the curtains. Do you know you got some crazy shit going on in the house where she goes, hey, socks off. What? Socks off. Do you know this is what you don't realize? Because you go in the couples, they're all having shots. More chorizo, yeah, I'll have some chorizo. But then when you're like, oh, hey, don't want to be weird, but you left your shoes at the front. Obviously, you'd put those into the rack. Nothing too serious. No, you'll get it next time. You better, you fucking turd. Do you know what I mean? And that's the moment where you should immediately tap out. And I think there should be tap outs in relationships where they test you and they say, hey, if you could just put the cups up here, and you say there should be a big siren going like in a game show and going, tap out. And you do 2 X's and a game host takes you out of that entire scenario. And then you've got a house and a baby on the way and you go, tap out. Wolf, it's like, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, and you call
Like, no,
it.
like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like you get to a point and then everything stops and they're like, all right, you're at 64,000 at the moment. At the moment, you can go home with this, or you can risk it all and go for another 6 months.
You tap out. Dude, how good's that? And you could have a phone a friend and you go like, listen, she's asked me that it makes sense to just keep my memorabilia out in the shed. Is this a moment? Is this a moment? Do I need to throw out my childhood shirt? It's my sleep shirt. She says it's smelly and annoys her. Is this the moment? Am I subrogating right now, or am I in love and compromising? And they go like, ding, 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 subrogation, beginning of the end, exit stage right. And you're like, see you later, Sheila, you fucking psycho. No one's going to change me but me.
But maybe
That's a great quote. Imagine that on a bumper sticker. No one's going to change me but me. I'd love that on the back of a fucking Captiva. No one's going to change me but me.
Yeah, that's true,
It's
man.
a dog's life.
That's true.
That's part of our philosophy.
That's the only way to... But that's a dog's... Dogs are notoriously changed by things that are not them.
No, but I'm looking to build our cult. So I'm like that one of the bumper stickers with the little howling dog. Eat sand every day. Eat sand every day.
I like the idea that even thematically, your last name is Wolf, but you are still angling for this like lone dog situation. Like the comfort of being a dog eating sand. It's not even
you gotta
lone
know
wolf.
what you are.
It's just, can someone give me a rub, please?
I might have been a wolf, but I was brought up coddled, so I know I'm a dog. I can't snarl my teeth because I was suffocated. So I know that I'm more like a lasso cross Mutzy or whatever the fucking different dogs are.
Lassie, Mitzi.
Dude.
But how do you know that the minutia might not be enough to form a genuine bond over a long period of time without experiencing the trauma of a war? Maybe that's the only true friendship. Maybe the only true friendship is achieved.
You have the full trauma. This is what you need in a relationship. So the first date, should you guys doing paperwork and getting your tax in order? And just, like what they always say, one of the big tells of a relationship is when they move in and they build IKEA shit together. And you're like, how'd it go? And go, look, we're just not going to talk about that, okay? It's built. But you're like, oh, not a team. Do you know, I felt it when I built it, because most of my relationships, you know what they would do? They would watch me build it and sit there drinking wine because I'm such a cuck bitch of a man that I'd be invited around to their house. I remember once I was trying to have Coke so I didn't sweat. I was high on cocaine and I built their cupboard while they sat and watched and go like, yeah, I can't really do that.
That's because
really do that.
That's because women literally do not have the same ability for spatial awareness. It's a difference in how the brains operate between men and women. The spatial awareness ability, I've tested it. There's a test that you can give to people.
What do you mean? So they're not aware of personal space? Oh, that makes sense.
No. You're not aware of personal space. They have low spatial awareness, so they can't as well conceptualize as a gender. This is very painting with one brush.
Well, this is hard because right now I'm imagining Hannah Gadsby sawing a log. Like, I see her as more manly than me. Her in these weird fucking Blundstones with a nail gun, building it and going, you pussy.
But the gender difference is that they cannot as easily hold an image of an object in their head and rotate it and accurately conceptualize or visualize what that would look like.
That's why you see them when you give them roses and flowers, like they're just transfixed by this 3D shape, just turning it around and around. It's blowing their mind, their silly mind. It just keeps going. It's 3D. Don't see things. I only see 2D shapes. Dude, it is actually funny though, because obviously it's a spectrum and this is a fucking massive slur. Like everyone fits in everything. Yeah. As in people are like, I know a lot of guys that can't see even 1D shapes. Do you know what I mean? Like as in their versions of everything.
This is a huge generalization based on like overarching biological trends. It doesn't refer to anyone specifically.
Dude, I was thinking about that because it's like the girls always get angry. I'm like, aren't they happy now? Like, I see all these comics obviously taking an interest in their sport more so than ever with all these trans stuff. I'm like, of course it's negative. We're guys. The entire time, they're just slagging off players. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, they've come in so aggressive. I'm like, most people hate most of their team. You get drunk and you go like, fucking can him. Cancel him. He's a fucking idiot. Guy can't catch. Fuck him off. Do you know what I mean? Like that is the male energy around everything. Armchair critics that could have actually done well, but for their knee injury. Don't you think?
Yeah.
No, but I was just saying it's they got what they wanted. Every fucking misogynist dickhead guy, all he ever talks about is women's netball and the chance of trans people being in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's all you talk about.
That is the most, that is the most accepted you could possibly be in men's sport, is having men complain about you in men's sport.
Obsessing about it. Every guy I catch up with, he's either talking about his barbells, his steroid diet, meat diet, and how angry he is that a woman might win the UFC. Because if she had 9 cocks attached and you pump her full of things, she could bite your dick off, man. Like, it's not real. It's not fair, man. You can't have it, man. And I'm like, who? Do you know what? You know what emasculates you the quickest is when someone asks, like, anything about sport and you go, I'm not interested in sport. I find it juvenile. It's fucking so crazy. It's like you're saying that the Pope's not real to a religious guy. You just say, I have no interest in watching young people play sport. Sorry, man. I don't know why you get obsessed about it and you have your emotions tethered to 20 young lads kicking a ball around, but it's fucking pretty pathetic. And they are so wrong-footed. It's so unusual for a guy to just reject it.
I've been doing that for 20 years, and people don't like it. It's they find it very insulting.
and you know what? It's actually like what happened with Ari. Ari offered us a joint at the end of the whole thing, and he goes, "Do you guys want this?" And I go, "No." And then he had to put it back in his pocket, and I realized it was like being in Hawaii where someone offered you a lei, and you're like, "No, I don't want it." And then you just stand there because I'm not doing that shit anymore. And he was like, no, you don't have to smoke it now. And I go, yeah, I don't want it. I don't want it. And then they have to like take the gift and put it back in their pocket. You're like, yeah, I don't want it, mate. Okay? I don't like sport. I know you've been ripped off. You think the state of origin is going to be good. It sucks. Okay? It fucking sucks. Australia's a suburban sprawl. Do you know what I was mocking him? I was saying like, oh, you go the forbidden fruit of the foreign land. You travel and then you can tell all your mates that haven't been here how fucking magical a kebab is and watching an Aussie guy fucking pit. And you're like, don't lie. It's all suburban sprawl. It's bullshit. But then on the walk home, I realized I'd been lying about my pod hub, romanticizing about that shit of how fucking Huckleberry Finn I was and how fucking crazy I was living in there. And I was like...
Then someone tried to come around and I'm like, please don't, because I really built this up. And it's actually quite good accommodation. And I was like, I am him. That's what's so hard about being a nihilist. You realise you're doing everything you hate, you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's difficult to escape the trappings.
I almost took Pete Roast on him, you know, like Huck Finn, where he's painting the wall. He's painting that wall and he tricks another kid how fun it is. I had Pete. Pete's there for Chicago. He's got a 5-star hotel. I was talking him in, dude, this is where comedy's made. You've got to be in there. You've got to see those CD guy, the molestation boy. And I go, man, imagine it, just one night in the hub. I'm in your hotel, you're in the hub. And I just had this image of him at 3 a.m. realising you're being tricked. Going, what the fuck? Why did I take the kid to bait? Wolf got me in this hub. He's in there jacking off in my 5-star ordering room service. I'm in a coffin. This fucking trickster.
Man, I'm looking forward to you coming to the coast in a month. That's nice.
Oh, dude, I can't look forward to anything but the now. I dread everything.
Oh, and you've cut out. You cut out. What was that? Is it connected still? Because you cut out and then you weren't responding.
Dude, this is cut out now. I can't hear you.
I know.
Well, dude, we got to wind it up anyway. Tips of the week, charge your equipment. I think these must have died.
Yeah.
Dude, tip of the week, charge all electrical equipment if you're running a podcast.
Okay.
Should we wind it up? I've got to go anyway.
Yes.
I've got a date with the bridge.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Catch you, man. I've got a date with the bridge.
Leveraging your home, margin personal loans, hedged by put contracts, holding 15 overexposed bad positions, looming threat of liquidation.